please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. This bill is just, as many may be aware, Starkville, Tibial County Consolidated School District and Mississippi State University have entered a partnership to look at building a new high school there. Some years ago, they built a secondary school, the junior high school, 6th and 7th grade. And what I'm asking for already exists. We just want to expand it. We currently have the ability to mix funds between MSU and Starkville, Tibial County School District with relation to the 6th and 7th grades. We're just expanding that to include the high school. Just makes it a little simpler as they go down the process of constructing the school. I'll yield for any questions, Madam Chair.
And do we have any questions for Senator Williams? All right.
Title sufficient to pass.
All right. We have a motion. I'm sorry. We have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Williams, has the, so both districts agree with?
Yes, sir. Both districts agree, and they both have, before they can do this, if we enact this, they both have to mutually agree on what will be done with the funds. Like if they're going to architectural things or things of that nature, it just makes it not as formal a process, and it'll save time in doing that. And Section 12 of this that begins on line 333 outlines what's already in statute. We are adding Section 7.3, Section 13, which begins on line 350, and it just expands it to include the high school. So yes, that's a very good question, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Williams. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Do we have any other additional questions? If not, Senator.
Title sufficient do pass, ma'am.
All right. We have a motion. Title sufficient do pass. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I'm going to skip down to Senate Bill 2368. Would you go ahead and talk to us about this bill, Jennifer? There. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The HELP grant is the state's financial aid program for students who exhibit both merit and financial need. We award about 4,000 students a year. Currently, the program requires students to be full-time students, and it pays full tuition and fees at both community colleges and four-year institutions. For students with a 2.5 high school GPA, a 20 on the ACT, and who take a college prep curriculum in high school. And of course, as the administering agency for the program, the State Financial Aid Office has to verify that all of those requirements are met for every student every year. This bill would remove the curriculum requirement. And the reason for this request is that more than 98% of Mississippi high school graduates already take the required college prep curriculum in order to graduate from their institutions. And this is due to a lot of curriculum alignment that has taken place between the K-12 system and the four-year and the college systems. And so even though all these students are already meeting this requirement, automatically upon graduation, we are still required to actually verify that the requirement has been met, because that is one of the requirements in the code. Because of the timing of applications and awards, we can't just get this data directly from MDE through the MSIS system. It's not available at the time that we need it. We have asked if that is a possibility, and we've been, and it doesn't work out time-wise. The data is not in the system. So instead, high school counselors have to pretty much manually verify certification of the HELP core curriculum for every single student that is coming out and graduating. And they have to send that to our office. They are already sending us other data, so it's not like they're sending us separate data files with this, but the counselors can't just pull this collection of courses out of their information systems and say, all these students automatically meet it. It is something that they have to go in and check for each student. What this ends up being is a huge burden on our high school counselors. As you probably are aware, most of our high school counselors are outnumbered by a very large ratio of students to counselors. They're serving more students than they should be anyway, and this is just an additional burden on them. So we consider this to be a fairly technical change to the code that would not result in a significant increase in the number of students who are eligible. It would have virtually no impact on the budget because the students are already taking and finishing the CPC. Instead, it would simply improve the efficiency of the program and decrease the administrative burden on the high school counselors.
And this is a position of the board. And would you tell the committee, this is not just your recommendation, this is the board's recommendation. And would you let the committee know who is on your board?
Yes, so the Post-Secondary Financial Assistance Board is made up of a representative from the IHL Board, a representative from the Community College Board, a representative from the IHL institutions, which includes Dr. Keenum, representative from the community college institutions, which includes Dwayne Middleton, who's probably here. Two representatives, appointees from the governor's office, one from the lieutenant governor's office. And a private, there's also a private college president and a private, like a MAICU board rep on the board. And they have recommended and proposed this legislation. And the high school counselors, many of whom will be here tomorrow for Capitol Day, are also very much in support of this change.
All right, do y'all have questions for Jennifer, Ms. Rogers? Yes, Senator Hobson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many students are we talking? I think you said, Jennifer, that's 98% of the students would already qualify. How many students is the 2%?
We would be talking about probably 20 students a year that might qualify that wouldn't otherwise have qualified.
Okay. And roughly how much money are we, I just need to factor this into the budget. How much money are we talking about?
How much money for the
20 students.
20 times? It depends on if they're, probably about 100,000, 140,000.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jennifer.
Additional questions? Yes, sir, Senator Norwood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you give a breakdown of community college, senior college?
How many students go to each for this program? I actually can give you that. Can I get with, I have it in my data. I'll get that to you before we leave today.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Additional questions? All right, I have a motion to title, oh, you had a question, Senator Harkins, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the question Senator Hobson asked, are we violating anything by just doing this for students that don't qualify? Is there going to be any, is it just state funds that we're putting? Are there any other funds that are at stake that?
No, it's totally state funds. So, I mean, it would just be up to the legislature to either take the requirement out or leave it in, and it would not impact anything else.
Okay. All right. So you don't foresee any other, that number increasing or that percentage? Has it always been about 98%? Is that kind of the steady?
So when this program started, it started in 1997. So we're almost 28 years into the program. There was a specific core curriculum that was listed, and it was just a random list of courses that the legislature at the time thought was important for college readiness. And that curriculum has changed over time to align with the IHL college prep curriculum. And so right now the code actually says 18 credits that is equivalent to the IHL required college prep curriculum. Well, the K-12 schools have also changed graduation requirements and, you know, all of these other requirements so that the students are taking that IHL required college prep curriculum in order to get a traditional standard diploma. I think they have a different word for it now, but the regular diploma. So no, I mean, I don't see that would increase it at all unless unless somehow the schools start like offering, allowing students to graduate with a different curriculum than what the colleges are requiring as the CPC. And you also have to think too, that these students also, in addition to that curriculum, they also have to have the 20 on the ACT. So that 20 is telling us a lot more about their academic preparation than
Classes.
the actual courses that they,
Gotcha.
collection
Okay.
of courses that they take.
All right. I just was making sure there wasn't some other funds tied to it that
No,
somebody would be asking for clawback because we didn't follow some statutory guideline or
yeah.
willingly giving people that don't qualify financial aid. Okay, thank you.
I have a motion from Senator Williams.
Yeah.
Title sufficient to pass. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. We will go to Senate Bill 2522. This is our Upskill Mississippi Grant Program. I want to thank both of these ladies right here for working so hard on this piece of legislation that we're going to present. Dr. Taylor, if you'll go ahead and step up to the mic and tell us about Upskill.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Sorry. Upskill Mississippi, or I should just say Upskill program is designed to be an incentive, a carrot, if you will, for students to encourage them into high value career technical pathways in our community colleges. We, as a culture, as a state, are comfortable incentivizing things when we need more of them. And so I'm proud of this effort. I think there are other challenges that we have to consider down the road, but not related to the individuals, which would be just, do we have enough space to put more students into these programs? Ultimately, as we've worked through the realities of growing and developing as a state, we need more plumbers, we need more HVAC technicians, we need more industrial maintenance technicians, we need more of a lot of different things. It's hard for students sometimes to see that pathway. So we have the Career Coach program that is working diligently. As we have worked through this and worked with the Office of Financial Aid, it's can we start a limited pilot to determine the effectiveness of the feasibility of providing scholarships essentially for students to go into the pathways, basically saying if there's things that we need more of, let's incentivize the students until such time that we close the gap. I have said before this body that I would love to overproduce electricians and industrial maintenance technicians and plumbers and things like that. We're pretty far from that at the moment. So working with the Office of Financial Aid, this becomes a simple scholarship for students. I think, is it fair to say last dollar? I mean, it's you have to have federal financial aid, you go through other means, and the goal simply is to cover the gap that could exist, that could be the difference between students showing up in class and students dropping out at the end of the day. We are talking about students who are taking a step in a direction and rewarding them, frankly, for doing what we say we need more of. And as a representative of the Office of Workforce Development, I can tell you there are several things that we need a lot more of. And it's not just Mississippi. There's other states around the country that need these technical careers. But we are focusing on Mississippi, obviously. So it's been boiled down to be a pretty simple concept. And so I would love to kind of talk through any questions and to the best of my knowledge. And if I need to call on someone from the audience to help, I may. But it is 24 years old and adult and over, so the existing programs won't be impacted. This is a population that does not have a lot of resources outside of federal financial aid. If they decide they want to go back to school to advance their careers, we have a lot of working Mississippians who don't qualify for normal financial aid, but also can't afford to come out of pocket with $4,000 or $5,000. And we have seen our federal funds decline. We have had what we call individual training accounts through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and those funds have steadily decreased about 12% a year. So there's just the availability is not there today like it was even 5 years ago.
Dr. Taylor, when y'all and Jennifer started looking at these programs, we looked at a number of different ways to do this. Y'all particularly went down this path because you saw successes, huge successes that they had in Tennessee and other states with this. Do you want to talk just a little bit about that? And I know we had presentations this summer that some of our committee was able to come to, and some of was not able to come to. And then also talk about too, particularly why this is especially important for Mississippi, because we have such a huge number of people. 1 in 5 Mississippians, if I'm not correct, has some level of a certificate, but not a completed certificate or a degree. And if y'all would address that.
So, we have to go back and forth. She's a little bit taller than me. I'll speak to the work that we did looking at other programs. There are a lot of these last dollar programs. Some are for all students in all programs. Some are specifically targeted to adults. In the Michigan program, and the Tennessee program, both have been very successful in getting large numbers of adults back into the workforce or into these workforce training programs at the community colleges, and then getting them to straight back out into the workforce. I do not have my data here right now to tell you numbers. I'm sorry. Very large success rates. Michigan's program is younger than Tennessee's program. They have actually had more success than the Tennessee program, and that's because they've also added in some supports for this. This is a population, the adult population. They need possibly a little bit more handholding and more support systems than even some of the traditional age students, simply because they're coming in with other barriers. They have to deal with childcare. They have to deal with work schedules. They have to deal with things that sometimes 18-year-olds don't have to deal with. But yes, lots of success in other states. We liked the idea of, instead of starting really broad scale and just serving everyone who might be an adult, let's really focus our funds and focus our attention on the areas where Mississippi can benefit the most, where people can absolutely find jobs that are needed, and be very intentional about how we're spending the dollars. And so that's why we chose to look at priority sectors. What are we calling it?
Priority occupations. We also, just to kind of close the loop on that, also, as we're walking through this, the reality is we have plenty of Mississippians who are working, but they are working in a field that pays lower than a livable wage. They can't pay for this, but they would take the opportunity, based on what we've seen in other states and what we think would happen here, to go back to school in one of these areas. And I think incentivizing just simply what we want more of, I think we have to be very careful about that. But incentivizing what we want more of makes the path a little bit easier for them. Even to have the conversation. You have students who would come out of the woodworks potentially for this that may have federal aid available. They just may not know about it. But there are people today that I think would, based on, things that we see in the marketplace, say, I'm in this industry, but I'd really rather be over in this industry, but I've got to upskill to be able to get there. So just making that pathway a little bit easier.
I have that study, the numbers on Michigan that I think you referred to last time, and I believe it increased their community college enrollment of adults by 38%. Is that the? Okay. All right. Committee, do y'all have questions? Senator Norwood.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Come on up.
Now, how much now, the $500 per year over the tuition costs?
The stipend.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, and then it says what, eligible institutions are all institutions?
Community colleges would be eligible. Public community colleges would be the eligible institutions, I believe, as it is written, unless somebody wants to correct me on the technicality there. Public community colleges. Yes, sir. And the tuition is going to vary for individuals depending on what their aid is. I think the average we're looking at was 1,100. Am I mistaken?
Student, because some will come with full federal aid that will pay everything, and some will come without that. Maybe they're in a job where they're working, but they're making just too much to qualify for that full federal Pell Grant. Or maybe they're, in a program where they can't necessarily go full time, and so the amount of their aid doesn't cover what is needed. So Yes, we're looking at about $1,100 per student on average would be what they would be getting.
Now, will they be on a degree track or more, or skill track?
Degree, certificate or a degree. Community colleges have a career technical certificate. Oh my gosh.
Associate.
Associates, and then what's the second one? Career technical and associates. That's right. Sorry, I combined those two. Ones, they're shorter and it depends on the program and what the industry likes. Some people can complete in 30 hours. Sometimes it takes 45 and sometimes 60 semester hours.
Now, are they referred from the a particular industry, or could an individual take it upon themselves to
Probably a little bit of everything. So I think there would be some, should this pass, I think there would be some excitement about it. So just general population. I think there is a normal financial aid process that students go through that financial aid officers would obviously have to be educated on this, but then I think they would make them aware of it. And then popular culture will do a good bit to kind of share it. So there will have to be a marketing component here of some kind that, hey, you're potentially eligible for aid.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Dr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you said you've seen about a 38% increase in other states in the non-traditional students that are going back in. Is that what I heard?
I need to go back and look at that data point, but very high rates of not just enrollment, but increases in those people coming out and completing certificates and degrees. And I can get you that data. I just don't have it
If
with
we
me
took
right this-
38% in Mississippi, about how many people would that be?
38%.
40%, 20? No, of the numbers that you're bringing back of your non-traditional students, you're saying about 38% increase in your non-traditional. So about 88,000?
About 30,000 students.
That's pretty substantial. So what are we looking at financially this is gonna cost?
Everybody.
So
Michigan is everybody.
Michigan is everybody, which would be academic also. We are only talking about high priority sectors, which are seat limited.
All right, let me just clarify that. What do you think the cost of this is gonna be?
So $1,100, I don't think you'll ever serve more than 5,000 or 6,000 students. There's 18,000 right now in CTE programs, but those are not all priority and a lot of those are 18-year-olds.
Okay, Senator McCon, that's a great question that you ask about the cost of the program. Right now, this is a pilot and it is very intentional to say that this would a pilot. It would be subject to the appropriation that is given on this. And this is subject to legislative appropriation. And that's why on the pilot, they would roll it out to those priority sectors, the jobs that we're at most need of in the state.
And I appreciate that. I do see year one is a limited pilot, year two is a full pilot, and year three is full implementation. So that's my only question is where are we looking at and going with this? And how much are we going to be getting into our budget?
I think that's a great question. I think that we would know that after we pilot it to see if it would be successful in the state, and we would have to come back, and it would always be subject to appropriation.
I don't think there's an opportunity to limit it. However, the legislature sees fit and through rules if we need to continue to refine it based on the amount of money available.
And I don't think anybody in here is saying we don't need to be encouraging people to go in these sectors,
Get it?
but we're just asking for some information before we jump. 38% is a big number.
Yep.
You got to admit that. So let's just look at that.
Well, and that was 38% of adult learners. So. Okay, additional questions? Okay, motion. All right, I have a motion, title sufficient, do pass. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're going to look at 2524, the Mississippi Post-Secondary Attainment Council. Now, I'm going to go through this, but there are a lot of people in this room who worked on the Post-Secondary Attainment Council and so if you are present in this room, Dr. Allen, all of you who are present who worked on this Post-Secondary Attainment Education Council or this please stand up, who looked at our new legislation. There's some more in here that didn't stand up, so we appreciate this. I'm going to try to roll us through this very quickly. What this does is, currently Mississippi has an Education Achievement Council, that I believe, we have, the chair of education, the chair of universities, colleges serves on. And, we participated in this for a couple of years. And, with meeting with our college presidents, and meeting with our business and industry leaders back there, and we all were working at the Accelerate conference that, we all came up with the conclusion that, this council had served its purpose and that something much more was needed in the state of Mississippi. We needed an organization that was really going to be looking at, post-secondary attainment, what that equated to our workforce, and we needed to be looking all the way back to pre-K to see that what we were doing in our, elementary systems, our secondary systems, and then all the way through college, how that was working to make sure that we were achieving the right workforce in Mississippi to support the jobs that we have, and how we were going to help Mississippians obtain higher. Then at the Educational Achievement Council, a motion was made and they formed a committee to actually work on this. They worked very hard on this. And so this is the legislation that has come forth with that, of how that we would evolve this organization. Business and industry participated in this. Everybody participated to move us forward. So the first thing we would do is we would repeal the Education Achievement Council. And then, we would create IMPACT, which is the Mississippi Post-Secondary Attainment Council. And the purpose would be to establish the state's post-secondary attainment goals and action-oriented strategies to make progress towards the goals that we need to make at the state. It emphasizes a collaboration model, with public and private education, workforce, and economic development. And, it has a membership of 25 voting members. You'll have academic sectors that are, represented. You have the commissioner of IHL, the executive director of the Mississippi Community Colleges, the executive director of the Independent Colleges and Universities, the Mississippi Association for Proprietary Schools, the state superintendent of MDE. You have a community college president that will be appointed by the governor, one IHL university president that will be appointed by the lieutenant governor. You have one private college university president that will be appointed by the Speaker of the House, and then one local K-12 superintendent that will be appointed by the state superintendent. Also, with the private sector representations, you'll have the Mississippi Business Alliance Foundation's Work Future Institute for Workforce and Educational Development. You'll have the president of the Mississippi Economic Development Council. You have 5 representatives of priority occupation businesses that will be appointed by the executive director of the Office of Workforce Development. You'll have a representative of the governor's office appointed by the governor, chairman of the State Workforce Investment Board, executive director of the Office of Workforce Development, chairman of the universities and college committees in the Senate and the House, the chairman of the education committees in the Senate and the House, chairman of the Senate Economic and Workforce Development Committee, and the chairman of the House Workforce Development Committee. And as non-voting members, you'll have the representative from SLDS. Anyway, this goes through the governance of how it will do. It will work in coordination with the Office of Workforce Development, and it will establish goals in raising the post-secondary attainment rate, and looking at adults. As most of y'all know, we are trying to, brought up in several meetings now, we are trying to ascend to 55. We should be ascending to 60 and 65. And this will be a way to help us strategically get there faster, to make sure that we are sending as a state quicker maybe than we've been moving beforehand. The staff of the Office of Workforce Development will be the principal staff in this, and then we will ask several appropriate agencies like IHL, the Community Board, the Mississippi Alliances of Community Colleges and Universities, and SLDS to assist with that. This will take effect in July of this year. And we believe this will be a great way to move the state forward and actually obtaining the goals and setting the goals that we need to make sure. This also will serve to, and I went to a meeting last Friday where we are trying to, we have a wealth, we are data rich, but what is the statement you use? But insight poor. So we have so much data out there, but we're not using it correctly to make sure that we can move the numbers forward that we need to obtain the post-secondary goals that we need to in the state and get the appropriate workforce. So this committee would be a way to move us forward with that. And it has been through the collaboration of all these individuals out here through our community colleges, our IHL, our private sector that have played a huge role in this in trying to establish this of how we actually move the state forward. So that's an explanation of the bill. And I'm happy to entertain questions at this point. If not, Senator Williams, all right, motion is title sufficient, do pass. Thank y'all, and thank you all very much for your work. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you,
Get that one out.
Dictator. Move same. All right, we're going to go back to Senate Bill 2344. This summer in our hearings, we had a number of speakers. One of Mississippi and how we do in Mississippi and a number of issues. One of the things that is abundantly clear in our state, we have a lack of financial literacy. This comes into play oftentimes when you visit with your industries and we say, what can the state do for you? And there's two things they usually talk about that I've said before. They talk about they need help with some childcare issues, which we'll be addressing in other committees. But they also say that they need basic financial literacy. And we know that we have very poor outcomes in the state of those that are planning for retirement. We know that our loan to debt income ratio is not very good in the state. We have a high student loan debt burden for Mississippians, given the amount that they make. And we have basically insufficient financial literacy among our population. Senator Sparks presented a bill last week for the K-12 that we will be looking at financial literacy. But given the issues that are happening in our state, we started working with our talking to people. And we have a number of our community colleges and our IHL systems that are actually already doing the bill that we have in place. And so one of what we're going to do is on this piece of legislation is that we are going to be asking both our IHL institutions and our community colleges to require their students to complete a financial literacy course or demonstrate equivalent financial competency as a condition of graduation, credential completion, or certificate attainment. And the core content areas that they would have to do are they'll have to do personal budgeting and cash flow management, credit, debt, and credit scores. We know that youth are taking out their first credit cards when they get to college and are putting themselves in a significant position when they do. It'll focus on student loans, financial aid, repayment options. It'll focus on basic tax obligations and filing, insurance, risk management, saving, investment, and retirement planning, consumer protection, contracts and fraud prevention, evaluation of employment offers, wages, and benefits. We're asking that it include applied learning in regards to this, and it has to be free of commercial endorsements from different sectors. We are allowing great freedom in how that this is done. It can be done in person, online, hybrid, modular, or embedded in existing coursework. They can do this through exams, prior coursework. They can do demonstrated competencies in any area. The integration of this may already be in a freshman class. They have a freshman foreign class that they're already doing. That might be a 3-hour class, and this would be a 1 hour of this. We're allowing great flexibility at each community college and each IHL system as to how that they would choose to incorporate this. We have asked the Board of IHL and the Community College Board to promulgate the rules and regulations doing this. This would not take effect until the fall of 27. So they would have a full year of planning to figure out how that they would want to do that. That is, the basic essence of this act. I was very surprised to learn how many colleges are already incorporating mostly these things. I may have to add 1 or 2 things in here that we've put in here, but there's a number of them doing this, but there's also a large number that are not. And we know that we have an ongoing problem with this with our population and our state. And we think this is important that we're addressing this at every level that we can. That's a basic explanation of the bill. We're happy to take questions. All right, motion is title sufficient, do pass. All in favor? Do I have a motion for rise and report? We will meet Monday at 2:00. Thank you. Yeah.